What's happening, everybody? This is the Pensive Brothers podcast. This is Aaron.
This is Elliot.
Hope everybody out there is having a fantastical day.
Fantastical.
Today was a rough day for me.
Oh, man. You too, huh?
Yeah, today was a rough day.
Hey, listen, that's Mondays.
Yeah.
Sometimes it be like that.
Actually, that's what Julia told me earlier. So I've been trying to kind of keep my head on straight, but today was a rough day for me, start to finish. But we're here.
Hey.
We made it.
Don't let these people drive you crazy. Don't go postal out here.
So, you've got a serious topic, and I've got two nonsense topics.
Okay, we're going to start with the nonsense, and then we'll get serious. How about that?
Good. All right. Topic numero uno.
All right.
Did you know LeBron James is the oldest player in the NBA now?
Did you know that? No, but it's not surprising to me.
I didn't realize, but...
He's been playing for a long time.
Yeah. There's a viral picture of him, of his first season. I think this is his 20th year. So the picture of him in his first season is him basically holding his PS2, getting off the bus.
What a time capsule that is.
Yeah, so he's got a PlayStation 2 under his arm with a tall tee on and baggy jeans.
A school bus or like...
No, in the NBA.
Yeah, because he went straight out of high school, right?
Right, but no, on the NBA bus. He was getting off the bus.
With his PlayStation 2.
With his PlayStation 2, about to go to his hotel room,
That's
before
crazy.
a game in a different city or whatever.
Wild.
And then this year, in his 20th year, he took another picture in the exact same, style.
With a PS5?
With a PS5.
Yeah.
And it's like... Wow. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. Listen, LeBron, the only person who, as he gets older, his hairline moves forward. I don't know how he's doing it.
I don't either.
He's
hair
paying
plugs.
the best. I don't even think he got plugs. I think he's doing like Bosley for Men or like the, what do they call it? The little rollers with the spikes in them.
Aerating? Like a yard?
I mean, it functions like that, but that's not what it is. It's literally, it's like micro needling or microblading. I don't know. Somebody in the comments will tell you, but it's a roller with like little spikes on it, and you run it across your skin. Dermal rolling, I think is what it's called. And you run it across your skin, and you're stimulating the follicles. That's what they say. And supposedly it works. I don't know, because my hairline is still where it is, and hopefully it stays that way.
Shout outs to Mom.
I know,
for hooking a brother up with the good hair.
Listen.
Because I'm a little nervous. I know I'm a little peasy on the sides. I'm going to brush it. It's all good.
But yours, you ain't got the rising tide on the corners. That's what you got to look out for.
Yeah.
So, I think we got future Hairlines. I think we're going to be all right there.
Yeah, I think we did pretty good on the gene pool.
For that, yeah.
We got Dad's teeth.
Yeah.
Mom's hair.
Yeah. Listen, a good mix of the two complexions. We not too dark. We both like medium brown.
We're all taller than our dad, so our height's not bad.
We made out. Now, if we could just, we get up off this weight, we'd be doing something.
Well, that's why I just left the gym. I just got home.
And I'm going after we leave here.
Yeah,
so we going to get there. We going to get there. All right. So
nonsense topic number one. Out of the way.
Out of here. What's the next one?
Okay, the second one I wanted to ask you. Weirdly spelled words. What you got? Because I've got a few.
Weirdly spelled words.
I'm starting with Old Faithful. It's Colonel in the military.
That is a good one, actually.
It's like, there's a lot of words that, so I have two categories. I have words that are just spelled strange to me, and then I have words that are like, I just struggle to spell them, but they're not spelled strange. Canceled. I never can tell if there's two L's or one L in
That's
the word
actually
canceled.
a really good point. As soon as you said it, I was like, that's not hard. Wait, are there two L's?
Yeah, see, now you're thinking.
Yeah, I literally...
I bet you, everyone that's listening to this, I bet you have spelled the word canceled with one L and two L's.
Listen, my kryptonite is the word business.
Oh, yeah, busyness. B-U-S-I.
Every time. That's the only way I can remember how to spell it. I have to go B-U-S-S-I-N-E-S-S?
No. Yeah.
See, I'm already sunk. It's one S.
B-U-S-I-N-E-S-S.
Listen, the bro's gonna get me. I can already tell.
Wait.
They're gonna get you too. I don't know. You asking the wrong one.
Yeah.
Listen,
I'm good at spelling when I'm typing and when I'm writing, but because I can look at it and say, oh, that's not right. But as far as just reciting it.
Listen, I'm so happy I was born in the age where we have spell check. Could you imagine if it was like 1966 and you're on a typewriter?
Can you imagine how many words were just spelled wrong back then?
Listen,
like nobody saw it or caught it.
All right. It was just a typo. It was just going to be like that. But
because if you catch it, that's even worse.
Right.
Because now you got to retype.
Listen, and they probably like, they knew what I meant. I can just keep going. Ain't no way I'm going back to
gosh, imagine writing, because I remember one time Pastor Ben was talking about how historically they had people that would write Bibles by hand.
Yeah,
So
literally.
once you finished it,
transcribe the whole thing.
yeah, they would sell it. So they would transcribe
Yeah.
the entire Bible, and then you get another one, and you transcribe another Bible, and
Yeah.
you get another one. So, but imagine if you spelled a word wrong, like in the middle of the page. You gotta just start the whole page over.
No, you don't. You just scratch that one out.
I mean,
Listen, here's the crazy part to me, okay? If you're transcribing Bibles all day, bro, you gonna know that junk by memory eventually. It's gonna be so many like by the time you do it like 50 or 60 times, the whole book, front to back, you gonna know the whole thing.
it's so crazy because, like, so when we think about the older generations that tell us, oh, in my day, things were better, right? Imagine being a Bible transcriber, and then you retire one day. You've been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years.
Right.
And then they come out with, like, the printing press.
Bruh, I'd be sick. And, well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if you'd be mad or if you would be happy. Because you'd be like, listen, I made money this whole time, and they outmoney my job as soon as I retired. So I'm glad I'm not one of them people that's still transcribing stuff by hand.
Yeah, the cotton gin, the printing press, the original AI.
Can you, like, I feel like right now, like, that's what people are looking at. If you do, like, hand-drawn art, a lot of people are like, oh, AI art is going to put us out of business. One, I don't think that's actually true. Most AI art has to be generated off of already existing art.
Yeah.
I think for most commercial applications, which is really where it's going to hurt, like, your artists, AI art is going to be easier. But if you're looking for, like, actual expression, like,
you're right.
AI,
and I think you're going to be missing the human touch.
You are.
Like, there's a big fight right now, about the unions. If you guys don't know, there's a lot of unions that are fighting right now in the Hollywood industries for actors, writers, producers. They're basically striking for better working conditions. Okay, so there's a lot of talk about in the contracts that these unions are fighting for to avoid the use of AI scripts, and some people want them to use AI scripts just so they can get back to work and get back to making shows, movies, TV, whatever. But to me, I really feel like you're going to be missing the human aspect of creation. I feel like there's something to be said about just human thought, human experience when you write these scripts, when you write these stories. I don't know. To me, I feel like you're going to be missing. So even with art, you're talking about paintings and stuff.
The other problem is, I think when you're talking about, like, if you're talking about, like, AI writing, I don't think it's not even the same as AI art. Because the thing about, like, a visual medium is if you're generating that off of already existing pictures, like, there are reference points. There's only so many ways to draw, like, a cat, right? So you can draw the cat more or less creative with more or less, like, stylistic preference.
Yeah.
Change the hair to be wild and flowy or short and whatever. But when you're talking about writing, like, you have to tell a story that connects with a person who doesn't know where the story is going. So when you're talking about AI, if the AI is generating off of stories that have already been created, like, every time you watch a movie that's generated by AI, you're gonna know where the story is going. It's gonna feel formulaic.
That's
it's actually
well,
and
that's how I feel.
But I think this is more of an issue with, like, writing. Like, I don't think AI really will ever be able to produce, like, a well-written story the same way AI can produce, like, a really nice picture or even, like, a really nice melody, because most of melodies is like it's numbers, right? So if you know how the system works, you can probably come up with all the possible melodic combinations, and the expression will be gone in, like, how you play the notes and all that stuff. But
what do you think of, like, we're gonna move you back into the camera frame here, sir?
Nah,
because you're like,
I'm gonna be right off.
So what do you think about some people? I actually think Andrew Yang talked a little bit about this. The idea of us as a society benefiting from the savings that we get out of AI. So, for example, a lot of people, Bernie Sanders, I've seen talk about this too. They talk about the fact that in the idea of AI, you're going to be getting rid of jobs, right?
Yeah.
You're going to harm a lot of people in the economy. But at the same time, there's a lot more money that can be made. And those people are saying that we as a society should benefit rather than just giving a corporation all of the profits to lay off all these workers. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that?
I think this goes, like, I think it goes even deeper, because I've always had a problem with the fundamental formulation of, like, what profit means to a corporation. I think somewhere we went wrong when we started thinking that profit, like the actual dollars and cents that a company is bringing in, is the only like profit that should be considered when you're talking about a company. I think if you don't look at all of the other things that a company brings to a community as part of their like profitable venture, I think you are actively making your company less valuable than it otherwise would be. I'll give you an
Could
example.
be, yeah.
I'll give you an example. If you go to a town that does not have any kind of factory, right, and you build a factory, it's not just the widgets that the factory is making and the money that the factory is making based on building widgets that makes that factory valuable.
Right.
It's the living that it provides to people that are working in that area. It's the business that it provides by having a centralized location where lots of people are going to congregate. That also means there's a centralized location where other people can provide services and products to that group of people. So if you, in my mind, if you monetize the fact that, hey, we're a profitable company because we're bringing in money and we're, making a profit, but also we're a profitable company because we're generating the opportunity for all these other small businesses to exist. And here's how we're benefiting from those other small businesses benefiting. We have the best employees because people want to come here and live. It's kind of like the New York City model, right? So the reason New York City was so popular for so long, LA had kind of the same thing, is like they were the place to go for specific industries. And because they were the place to go for specific industries, like it created this environment where all of these other business ventures that otherwise would never exist can exist. So you can have a bodega that sells like grocery store stuff, but they also got a kitchen in the back where they make sandwiches during the lunch break.
Yes, sir. Get you a chopped cheese.
You can have a $1 pizza shop sitting on in the middle of a street somewhere where literally these mugs are just churning out pizzas all day, and people are just walking in, grabbing a pizza for $1 or $5 or whatever, and walking out. Like those kinds of businesses can only exist when you have a certain like volume of people in a specific area. So,
and I think the thing you said was, you have a problem with the way that we basically have shifted to only looking at the dollar and cents the company makes, right?
Yeah.
So I think the moment that happened is honestly when companies started buying politicians. Because and I'll tell you why I say that. So as you know, and a lot of people might know, historically in America, CEO pay, executive pay was roughly 20-30 times what the average employee makes.
It was like in line. Like they were like this together. They go up, kinda...
Because the average person or the average leftist, the average Democrat, the average Republican, it's not that they're saying CEOs shouldn't make a lot more money than the average worker.
No.
I think that the problem is when we started allowing these corporations to purchase politicians, they started changing the rules.
Yeah.
So back then, you could get one standard factory job fresh out of high school and you would have enough money to buy a home in that community, take care of a family on one income, and the company was profitable. General Motors was the number one hiring company in America, like they had the most employees, where now it's companies like Amazon and Walmart, which to be a General Motors worker in the 1950s compared to being a Walmart worker in 2023, your buying power is not the same.
Yeah. And
so that is when I think a lot of those rules started changing.
Yeah. And so there are two things that I'll say about that. One is I keep going back to the example of I can never remember the guy's name, and I really need to like write it down or something so I can remember. There was a guy who owned a company, and basically he was making like his $1 million CEO salary, and all his employees were making, competitive wages, right? So they were making like 30, 40, 50,000, somewhere there about. And basically he had an encounter with one of his employees who said, hey, I can't work for you because you're paying me $45,000. He's like, $45,000 is a competitive wage, and I'm like, I can't live on that. Like, it's not enough. I'm struggling to pay my bills. I can't get my kid in daycare. I can't afford to get a new car. And it really, it weighed on him because he's like, listen, I'm take home $1 million a year, and I'm not spending most of that. Like, I could take like half of that money home. Yeah. Literally, I could take half that money home and give every single employee in the company $75,000 a year, and I wouldn't even notice.
I remember that story.
And so he literally did that, and his company not only got more profitable, but his employees were way happier. The retention immediately
turnover stopped.
Turnover stopped because when you're paying people $75,000, the thing that I don't know how to express this to people who don't believe it intrinsically. Like, there are a lot of people who intrinsically believe, oh no, because they've met lazy people. Listen, everybody is trying to be lazy. Everybody's trying to get over it. And I think the problem is the majority of people are not actually trying to get over it. The majority of people are jaded. So if you give people a reason to believe that better nature will prevail, they will believe that. But everybody keeps operating on this weird like game theory-esque paradigm where they're literally like, hey, listen, I think everybody's out to screw me, so I'm gonna screw everybody first. And
Yeah, and then also, in that same vein, the thought process of all the workers are basically trying to be lazy, trying to get as much money by doing as little work.
as little as possible.
Yeah, but if you flip that, isn't the company doing the same thing?
Yes,
They're trying to get the most work out of you.
Yes.
By paying you the least amount.
Like
where
as little as possible.
I've been so happy to see these unions striking lately, seeing labor power going up, because to be honest with you, without effective labor fight back, companies can do whatever they want. So that's why we have seen record increases of profits, yet wages, when you tie them to inflation, have been stagnant since the 1970s. So it's like we're kind of in a situation right now where we need to, one, demand more of our politicians to protect the workers in the country and not just protect big business and protect CEOs and executives, but also we need to demand more of those executives. Like, it's crazy for you to have a company, you make billions and billions of dollars, you don't pay federal taxes, or, some of these companies, they get refunds. Like, you're not paying federal taxes, and then you're not even paying your workers, and then you're crying bankruptcy, or, oh, we can't afford it. We need our $17 billion in profit to do stock buybacks.
Yeah. I mean, the other issue that I have is quite often, like, people are using all of these formulations of their business to basically not claim any income.
Yeah.
And I think they don't want to change anything because all the people who get to make the rules are also the people who get to benefit from the fact that they can use all these tricks not to claim any income. But I think the other problem is, shout out to, I believe it's Clear Value Tax. He's a guy on YouTube. He has like a financial information type show. And he talks a lot about how a lot of the analysts who are on TV and who get the big jobs in Washington tend to just be liars. Like, their whole thing is they want to get a cushy job, they want to get a cushy position, and you can actually see this with like Larry Summers and his ilk. There's a huge issue where a lot of the people who are supposed to be financial thinkers, who end up being like these analysts and these what do you call them, economists, they are constantly encouraged and they're constantly rewarded for making calls that help people continue to justify taking more money for themselves. So a perfect example is, they should have been cutting interest rates years ago. But now that they have they should have been raising interest rates, not cutting. They should have been raising interest rates years ago. So that money wasn't so cheap, because a lot of these big businesses are using the fact that money is cheap to crush the economy.
Yeah.
The problem we have now is they waited so long to raise the interest rates that
now they're raising it in a moment when everyone's in pain.
Well, it's not just that. It goes deeper. So the real problem is they're raising interest rates in a way that's going to make it like stocks are going to be worth less because government bonds will be worth more. But our government is making such terrible monetary decisions that nobody is going to buy government bonds. So government bonds are not going to be very valuable, and stocks in our country are not going to be very valuable. So everybody, because there are no laws precluding them from doing so, is going to take their money out of the country. So now you take all of this capital that the United States is supposed to be raising to pay back all of these debts they have, and it's gone. And by the time the economist and the Fed and all these people who are supposed to be so smart and see this stuff coming around the corner, by the time they actually get their arms around it and they kind of understand what's going on, it's going to be too late to do anything about it. And we're going to be in an even worse position, because right now is the time to do something about it. And genuinely, I don't understand why some random Asian guy on YouTube is the only person I've heard explain it that way. Someone should be screaming this on the news every day. Bro, this is bad.
The major news companies are major corporations who enjoy the boat. They're not going to rock the boat. And it's unfortunate, but usually corporate media toes the corporate line. Yeah. As we all know.
Yeah.
And that's why their viewership has been on the steep decline.
Bruh.
And it's going to continue to do so.
Yeah.
You remember CNN Plus? They spent literally like $1 billion and it went nowhere.
You know what always cracks me up, bro? How is it that these corporate companies always find a way to fail at things that honestly could be really easy if they just let somebody else, like outside of their bubbles,
I think
take a crack at it?
There's a lot of issues because, to be honest with you, there's not a lot of diversity when it comes to the people that get to make those decisions.
Yeah.
So you don't have 30-year-old Latino and Black people in those rooms. You don't have, a diverse group of people that are going to say, hey, you know what people who are at home not watching Anderson Cooper don't want? They don't want to pay you $20 a month to watch Anderson Cooper on an app.
You're not wrong.
Like, also, they don't have any of that. So they think, Anderson Cooper, he's been talking about all of the good boy corporate nonsense. We should put him on an app to talk about the good boy corporate nonsense.
You know what I struggle with? Because I don't even think it's true that you don't have 30-year-old Latinos or Black people in those rooms. I think is that they're not empowered to have real opinions. So something that I've noticed is there are a lot of supervisors. I'm very fortunate to not have supervisors like this at this time. But I've been in situations where basically the supervisor calls meetings and they say, hey, I have this idea. And what they want is like that's a really good idea type session.
So Cenk Uygur calls that groupthink.
Yeah.
Where it's in the hiring. No, what he's saying is that it's not, okay, Elliot, we just hired you and you're the 30-year-old Black person. We need you to toe the company line. He's saying specifically they're going out and they're finding people that, in the hiring process, it's implicit. It's like, hey, what do you think about this? And then that's how they weed out those who are dissent.
They're looking for people who already think exactly the way they already think.
Groupthink. Well, and so those people get in those circles, and then it's basically if you excuse my language, circle jerk. Circle jerk.
Yeah, you had to take so long to say it. You were like,
no, I was thinking because Mom be watching this, and I don't want her to hear me say circle jerk, but I've said it 4 times. So.
Yeah, we're trying to keep this a PG show, okay? It really
a metaphorical circle jerk.
That doesn't make it better.
Okay, fine. A literal circle jerk.
That also doesn't make it better, but that's whatever. It's fine. But no, I think you're right. There probably is like an issue in the hiring where literally they're like, okay, this guy didn't say what we wanted him to say. We're not. This isn't
the direction that MSNBC is trying to go.
You tweeted something spicy 2 years ago. We can't hire you.
Yeah, it's like because I don't think that these people are quote unquote evil or anything like that. No, I do think usually. That corporate bias, establishment bias, basically pro-party bias is a real thing. And I don't think that these people, just like a lot of the politicians, I don't think that they're quote-unquote evil.
Yeah.
But if I give you $3 million over the span of 6 election cycles, yeah, you're going to take my call.
You know what's crazy? I'm going to be honest. It's so weird to me it's not weird. I struggle sometimes with the people who don't value their integrity more than I feel like they do. Like, when I see somebody make an actual 360 degree, like when I watch AOC say like literally the exact opposite of what she said 2 years ago, like that feels crazy to me. Cause I'm like, bro, you knew what it was like to be a normal person. Like
what did she say that was different?
So like her stance on Mama Bear, Nancy
Pelosi
is a perfect example.
I wish she wouldn't have said that.
I don't even necessarily think you gotta like try. You can slide out of trash in Nancy Pelosi all the time, but Nancy Pelosi has not changed anything that she's been saying the entire time that you've known her.
That's the part that's frustrating.
So to me, what you should say is, I still have fundamental, very vehement disagreements with Nancy Pelosi about style and approach and the way that business should be conducted. But there is a lot of valuable insight and information that she has brought to me as a young senator coming up, and there's a lot of changes that I've been able to affect because I've been talking. Now that would have to be true. You'd actually have to be able to point to changes you've been able to affect, which she kind of can't because she hasn't really been able to make much change because they kind of pacified her and moved her to the side.
And the thing is, you've got 2 problems with that. So yeah. I agree with you. AOC is still one of my favorite congresspeople, but she has made some comments that are like, what are you doing? But when you say she hasn't been able to affect much change, that's true. Change that she could have affected.
Correct.
Especially with the power that she had.
Force the vote.
But the Democrats don't make any change. And Nancy Pelosi made sure that they don't make any change. They don't even put stuff up for a vote.
Yeah.
So, yes, could AOC go in there and really rock the house and drag her wing of the party and be a thorn in the side of the establishment? Yes, but at the same time, the Democrats barely do anything. To be
You're
honest,
talking about federally, yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of, I want to be fair in the criticism. That's all.
Yeah.
So yes, it annoys me because I do think if, like, for example, if Nina Turner would have won, I do think that she would have been. She talked a lot
Correct.
in her races about left discipline, which is voting as a block, right? Doing effectively what the Freedom Caucus does, which is saying, "Look, Nancy Pelosi, you want to be the Speaker of the House?
This is what we need.
We'll vote for you." But if you tell us straight up no, we're doing nothing, then sorry, we're just gonna abstain, or we'll vote for the Republican,
Yeah.
or we just won't vote.
Yeah, we just won't
You
show
know,
up.
you know what I'm saying, and
You
you'll
need
lose.
quorum. Right.
But
You
the thing
you
is
need
that
us to
like no one in the Democratic Party exercises any power unless they're trying to stop some type of left-leaning policy that's going to help the average American. Like it's crazy.
Well-
So they fight harder against Medicare for all than they do against Trump. It's nuts.
I mean, yeah,
It's crazy. I've seen more fight against like raising the minimum wage from the Democratic Party than I have against Jim Jordan trying to become Speaker of the House. It's crazy.
I mean, you say it's crazy, but I think it's because they can always defend, like, keeping Jim Jordan out of Speaker of the House. They can never defend their no votes against, like, Medicare for all and all these other things. That's why they don't let them come to the floor.
Right, because they would rather do nothing than look bad.
Well, the funny thing is, okay, we talked previously about, how you had more of your finger on the pulse as far as Jill Stein back in 2016. And
I
was
did,
like,
didn't
"Man,
I?"
You did. You go.
I just like hearing you say it.
You're ridiculous.
Because
Anyway,
you just told me I was crazy. You were yelling at me and everything.
I wasn't. I didn't tell you were crazy.
Talk about she was going to get 20% of the vote. I would have loved that, though.
I think I said 15, but whatever. You're right. I was wrong. That's the
I
thrust.
would have loved that, to
Okay.
be fair. But
Well, listen.
I knew she was gonna
we gonna tell you you're right earlier. Okay.
well, that's
Because-
my fear with Biden, though.
Well,
it's
here-
like, because...
Okay, so
Well, I'm gonna
here's
let
the
you
problem.
finish what you're
Here's
saying.
the problem, okay? So, Breaking Points is a news channel on YouTube, and they've been doing these, like, panels where they grab some, like, normie voters. The first one they did was
saw
with
those. I saw them
Republican.
all.
The second one they did was with Democratic voters, and, bro, when I tell you, this made me so sad and disappointed, bruh. I was like, oh, no.
Why were you disappointed?
Okay. The first issue that I genuinely have is that a lot of people are still just watching TV news. Like, they're like, oh, I get all my news from CNN.
I'm not saying that that's the thing that I said specifically.
I mean, it sounds a lot like that's exactly what you said, to be honest. Like, I'm pretty sure you might have said exactly verbatim.
Well, no,
Oh.
specifically what I said was, I think TV news still has a bigger grip than you think. I do think that grip is loosening, but I still think we're about 2 presidential elections or so away from basically MSNBC and CNN blockading everyone except the corporate Democrat, and that working. I still think we're in that.
I think you're right, but here's the interesting thing. And now I'm thinking about it. Maybe there's still hope because the majority of the people who are on this panel are Democratic announced voters. These are people who expressly support the Democratic Party. They're not independents. The majority of people are considered independent. So I'm hoping when they actually get their all independent panel,
That would be cool. I would be interested to see all independent.
that's what
panel.
I'm waiting for.
I'm afraid of that, though, because
you think there's going to be some crazy Trumpers and some
no, it's just that I think the average independent, the real independents, not the ones that are Republicans,
right,
that just are independent.
that are just independent because
No,
Republicans
the
are
average
popular.
independent, I think they look at Biden and they see what we see, which is this is a half asleep 80-year-old man who really deserves to break. Like, he needs to relax. He needs to sit. And then they look at Trump and they say, this guy's a liar who tried to ruin the democracy, but at least he speaks English. And I think that I'm afraid of that calculus of how many people are going to say, I can deal with the guy who speaks English and I can't deal with the guy who can't speak English. Or how many of them are going to say, I can deal with the half asleep grandpa. At least he's not trying to end democracy. Like, what is that math going to math out to at the end? That's what I'm saying. Like, I am afraid not enough people are going to be so disgusted by Trump that they're like, I'll deal with the grandpa. And the thing, that's such a it feels so 2016 to me.
I mean,
2 terrible choices. and we're just banking on enough people not hating the worst choice.
I mean, I don't know, bro, because I think my real problem is it's almost worse to have the binary choice when everybody keeps engineering it so that that's the only option.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like.
And watching it be engineered year after year is what's driving me
It's
nuts.
one thing if the only thing we have in the house is chicken salad. It's another thing if I know there was pizza and hot dogs and grilled cheese sandwiches and you went in the refrigerator and threw out everything I would eat and the only thing you left me was chicken salad.
No. It's worse than that. No. In this scenario, if using that analogy, no, I took all of those things and put them in the freezer so you can't eat them. But we know that they're there. It's not that there's not Democratic governors. They're out there. We were looking at them.
Well,
there's Democratic governors, senators, House members,
but
politicians, and
honest.
we are watching the Democratic Party make sure we know. Not only are they here, they are now going to go endorse Biden. And so we're going to watch these viable candidates say, sorry, but you're going to eat that chicken salad.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem I have with that formulation. If they're willing to do that, are they really leaders? Are they really the sort of leader that we actually need? Because I don't need somebody who's willing to fall in line regardless of the consequences to literally everything that's going on.
No, I hear what you're saying, but Elliot, that's all of them.
But it's not all of them, and that's kind of my problem. Like,
it's not all of the Democratic politicians, or
it's not all of the Democratic politicians. No, it's just all the ones who have the ability to get in front of national news and actually speak, and that continues to be the issue. But
I hear you. I do think that that's fair. But it's just that I guess
because I keep hearing people say, "Oh well," so what really made me sad? Okay, I'm listening to the Democratic one, and they are like, "Just tell me one word about these people," and they start naming off people. So they started with RFK Jr. and literally nobody knew who that was, which is kind of hilarious because that just means that the mainstream media,
that's a failure of the media.
Which is not gonna. No, it's not a failure.
What?
It would be a failure if they weren't doing it literally on purpose. They literally are not talking about this man, so that nobody knows about him.
That takes me back to our conversation about the thought rappers.
That's what I'm saying.
What are you trying to do?
Right.
You can't call them trash if they're doing the thing that they're set out to do.
If they're successful at doing exactly what they plan to do, they're not failures.
None of them knew RFK.
One person knew who he was.
I didn't see the Democratic one now that I think about it. I saw the Republican one, though.
Watch the Democratic one. It'll make you depressed. But none of them really knew who he was. They were like, one person was like, I know the name. I mean, I can think of the Kennedy family, and they're a strong Democratic family. And that's really all I know about him. Everybody else was like, well, I don't know who he is, but he looks untrustworthy.
Did they know about Marianne?
No, most of them didn't. I think one person was like, yeah, I think she wrote books or something, but they literally didn't know anything else about her platform.
Oh, but
yeah, it was bad.
I mean, they've been blacklisted.
It got worse, because then they said Gavin Newsom, and they were all like, yeah, Californians love him.
Oh.
And for you to say that, these are all people in Atlanta, mind you, okay? One, no, the majority of Californians did not love Gavin Newsom for a myriad of reasons.
And give me 1 second. So Gavin Newsom, if anyone doesn't know, he's the governor of California right now, okay? So it is widely believed that he's basically going to run for president next and win. He's a Democrat, and he's very popular among the elites. He raises a ton of money. He's got that professional politician-y thing vibe going. He's done a lot of terrible things in California. He's done a lot of really good things, though. Like, really good things, like leading the way good things. So I want to be fair. So, for example, Gavin Newsom, you guys all remember the wildfires that happened in California, right? So there's a company called PG&E in California, which is their electric company. It's like Dominion Power here. Mm-hmm. So PG&E has not upgraded their pipes for decades. And they were warned, hey, you need to upgrade your pipes. But why would you do that? It's not like your profits are worth that. So they didn't. So the faulty pipes have been proven to be the cause of that wildfire that basically burned down multiple cities, not neighborhoods.
Wait, really?
Yes. So what did Gavin Newsom do? Gavin Newsom bailed out that company who filed for bankruptcy as soon as this happened. He bailed that company out and used state taxpayer funds to help them pay the fines and to pay the company back. And no one went to jail. No one got fired. Like, the company is back in action. They were bailed out. They got tax cuts, everything. So
here's the problem that I have, right? I hate government bailouts with no strings attached. It's
I know,
actually,
me too. It drives me nuts.
of the things that have been done, I think this actually is more criminal than people give it credit for. Like, you took public funds and you gave them to people. Because I keep saying companies are not like, everybody use, what do they call it? Passive language. This is going to be a thing that I start like driving home.
We talked about this in the early, like last season.
Yes, we did. People like to use passive language when they're talking about companies as if the company is a real thing. It's not.
It's
a company is the face of a group of people who get to make decisions. Those people are the COO, the CFO, the CEO, and whatever their board of directors are. Those are generally going to be
CIO. Chief Information Officer.
Yeah, but I don't like information officers are not decision makers. They're usually like the propaganda chief. Like that's really what they're. Yeah,
the people making the choices on how the public is perceived, or the public perceives the company.
Kinda, but also,
not how the public perceives you. No, you hope
how.
But how we put out our message.
Exactly. They're the spin doctor. They're the guy who goes in and says, okay, I mean, this is really bad, but let's make Joe Camel so that people don't, think our cigarettes aren't killing people.
Now, before we crap all over Newsom, that's a terrible thing that he did. That's probably, in my personal opinion, the worst thing he did. Let's talk about a good thing he did real quick. Gavin Newsom started basically creating and selling insulin. State-funded, cheap, government regulation following insulin. So now the people in California not only have Joe Biden's $30 cap on a month on insulin, but they also are able to buy cheaper insulin in California from the state rather than having to go to the pharmacy and buy, I don't know insulin companies, but yeah. So
Eli
now
Lilly.
That is, to me, if I was taking insulin, that is some I'll vote for you for president type stuff, because you got to think about what that does. That leads the country, right? Because imagine how many other states might follow that lead. Now you're essentially giving a public option for insulin. That's amazing.
So here's my problem, right? So
that is amazing. I just got to give him credit.
If Gavin Newsom was running right now,
I hope he runs on that.
Here's the thing. He's not going to run unless Biden passes away, as I suspect might happen. But I don't wish that on him.
He's not going to run.
I agree.
Biden is going to be the nominee, and we're all going to suffer together.
We're not talking about what's going to happen if Biden's still around. If Biden is still alive, if he has a pulse, come November next year, he's going to be the nominee. You keep saying that. Listen,
Biden's going to pull what I call the Woodrow Wilson model.
Hey, listen. You call it whatever you want.
No, the Woodrow Wilson model. So
he's gonna get across the finish line and then die, is what you're saying?
No, I don't think so. I think he's gonna pull the Woodrow Wilson model, which is he's gonna become president again, get inaugurated, go through all the normal stuff, and then if your theory is correct, he's gonna get sick, get old, and he's just gonna hide in the White House, and then Joe Biden's gonna run the country. Because that's what Woodrow Wilson was the president during World War I.
Yeah,
he had a stroke.
Yeah.
He was not seen, but it actually turns out he was in a wheelchair and couldn't speak. For like 3 years, he was president, and his wife ran the White House and ran the country. And I'm not saying Joe Biden. I'm saying Joe Biden's like
cabinet. Yes,
well, are going to run the country.
This is why
But I don't think that's actually going to happen.
Here's the thing.
I really think he's going to like survive.
I mean, I wish the best for the man, okay? If he's the only president we got, I want him to do the best job he can do. But
he's doing a good job to me. He could definitely be doing a lot better. And I have a lot of complaints.
Here's the problem, okay? If my house is burning down, you do not care about my 401k plan when my house is burning down. You do not. Yeah. If I'm beating my wife, you don't care how nice the dinners I take her out to. Like, I'm still a wife beater.
No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, so like there are things that supersede doing good things as a president that he is fundamentally failing at. Like this whole kerfuffle in Israel-Palestine is kind of emblematic of my entire problem with a Biden presidency, because it doesn't matter till it matters. People talk about how, well, we're really voting for the cabinet. The cabinet don't matter.
I'm voting for climate change.
Here's the problem. No, you're not.
I understand.
If you're voting for Biden, you're not voting for climate change.
No, I'm saying that Trump is going to destroy the environment, and Biden is at least paying lip service to
it. You
have a different calculus to voting.
Wait a minute, because you're talking about, okay, are we going to die in 5 years or 10 years? Because
No. I'm talking about, are we going to die in 30 years, or are we going to die in 150 years? That's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
glad you're more hopeful than I am, because I'm not that hopeful.
I mean, Donald Trump passed a bill, or like they signed an executive order that allowed coal companies to pollute rivers again. Like he's the worst ever. It's like he's like
Biden has been playing nuclear chicken for the last 3.5 years.
With who?
With Russia.
What you think Trump was doing with Korea? Talking about my button's bigger than your button. You forgot about that?
Here's the problem, okay?
He hasn't been playing nuclear chicken.
Yes, he has.
Because he funded Ukraine, or
you're
saying because they haven't come to the table for negotiation.
It's not about funding. Okay, so here's the problem that I have, right? It would be one thing if we were just like, all right, we're just gonna use this as a proxy war and we're just gonna fund Ukraine, but we're not gonna actively sabotage. If they decide they want to stop, whatever. We gonna run the clock out. No, we have been actively interfering in every opportunity for peace since this war kicked off. We have been actively engaging in what I would call like terrorist support. Like we have been letting Ukraine do stuff that will precipitate Russia responding not to Ukraine but to us. So Ukraine has on more than one occasion launched some missiles across the border with our stuff that we gave them.
To Russia?
Yes.
I agree with that.
Okay. That's Russia. That's given Russia.
So what you're saying is, I don't know, Elliot. Okay, let's talk about this at the end of the show here. You're saying Ukraine, who has been invaded, should only attack the Russians that are in Ukraine.
Wait. I'm not saying that.
You're saying it's nuclear chicken if we give them missiles and then they launch them into Russia, right?
Hold on. I'm saying it's nuclear chicken because Ukraine did not have the ability to attack Russia with missiles until we gave them to them.
Yeah, I think we should have.
Wait. No.
Why?
I'll tell you why. There's a couple of reasons. The first reason is if me and you are walking down the street and you see a guy and the guy comes up and punches you in the face.
Uh-huh.
I will jump in with you. We can jump the guy together. But if I pull out a gun and shoot that guy right there, that doesn't work.
No, that's not what's happening. But I'll give you a hypothetical to match.
I'll give you the same example. If I pull out my gun and hand it to you and say, shoot him.
No. So what's happening is you and I are walking down the street.
Yeah.
Guy pulls out a gun on me.
Yeah.
And starts shooting at me. Yes. Not you. So you duck off behind a fence and you throw me a gun.
Yes.
And then I start shooting back. Okay, that's what's happening.
Okay, but the problem is I didn't throw you a gun. I threw you a small backpack. Like I threw you like a bomb vest.
Yeah, you threw me equal weapons to what they're throwing at me.
No, because Russia has been ramping up. Like this has always been the problem. Okay,
and you saying that we gave Ukraine more weapons than Russia has? No. I know you're not saying.
Wait. I'm not saying it's not about more weapons than Russia has. It's about more weapons than Russia is using in the conflict. This is kind of what my wait.
Okay. I'm listening.
If you give me like 2 seconds, I'll try and explain what I'm trying to explain. Okay. My problem always has been if you're serious about trying to maintain peace in the world, which we are not.
I agree.
You do not encourage wars to accelerate and to continue. Increase.
Yeah.
When you tell someone else, hey, listen, I need you to increase your attacks on the home front of that country, you are giving that country, even if it's only lip service, you're giving them the ability to say, actually, we think our war is really with the U.S. and kick it off. And the rest of the world can then be like, I mean, they kind of right, though. And that's... Well,
I disagree with you, but I'm hearing you.
Wait, you're saying, but why is BRICS as popular as it is? Why is the quote-unquote global south going with Russia and China? Why is everybody divesting of the U.S. dollar? It's not because the U.S. dollar isn't still valuable. It's because when we actively continue to stoke war and to make it harder for peace to reign against the will of most citizens in our country, as well as most citizens in the rest of the world, like everybody else starts to look and say, well, I don't really think the U.S. is right. I don't really think we can rock with the U.S. And that's a dangerous place for us to be, because the longer we look like the bully, the more we look like we're sending out our little brother with a gun to shoot people so that we have the plausible deniability, the more pipelines we blow up and act like we didn't. So the more dangerous is going to be for us, because like what Israel is seeing right now is like, if you mess around with your perception on the world stage and you're doing things that kind of give the other people some pause to say, are you really right? Like, maybe you're not doing what you're telling us you're doing. Maybe you're not actually the good guys in this scenario. Like, it goes like that.
Like, I hear you, but I think that, there's an argument on the other side to be had that if we just allow big countries to just bully small countries, are we really supporting freedom and peace in the world? Because if Russia invades Ukraine, in the same world, we would have said something to Israel too, because they're just wilding at this point. But no, let's stick with we're not going to get to Israel today.
You're right.
If Russia invades Ukraine, and then we're just like, well, we don't want them to think that their real fight is with us. So y'all just get wrecked. Sorry. Like, I think that equally is wrong. So to me, I do think that this has become a way for the military industrial complex to just make a lot of money. And then for whatever reason, we're not using none of this profit of selling them weapons to pay off the national debt, but whatever. So the problem is, I think that this is what I would have done if I was president. I would have sold them the weapons. I would have created a better mechanism of tracking those weapons. Then I would have tied those weapons to peace talks. Because I do think that it is unfair for us to not come to the aid of Ukraine, especially considering we promised them that we would support them.
We need to back up. Here's the problem, okay? You're kind of doing the thing where you're like operating from like one point and you're moving forward, but you got to go back even further. So I hate to give Donald Trump any credit ever, but if you go back, the aid that he got impeached for, I think it was the first time he got impeached.
Yeah, the Ukraine aid.
That aid was specifically tied to them being able to defend against Russia, okay? When everybody made a big deal about them not getting the aid.
Which they should have gotten.
And
that maybe would have slowed us having to give them money. They might have been better prepared.
No. That aid was because we were telling them, hey, you can't make peace with Russia.
No.
You don't. Wait, you're saying no.
No, the aid wasn't given to them because Vladimir Zelensky wouldn't start that or announce the sham investigation into Joe Biden.
No, that was why Trump didn't send the aid.
Right.
Okay.
Now, you said the aid.
But then after the whole Trump kerfuffle happened, Trump signed off on the aid going.
No, as soon as they started the impeachment inquiry. No, yes, he signed on it.
No.
Elliot, yes. Look at the timeline.
I know what the timeline is. What I'm telling you is, they announced the inquiry and he signed the aid going.
Yeah, like literally the same day. Yes.
The aid didn't go after he signed for it to go.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
Okay.
The aid didn't go for another 6 months.
No, the 6 months was before the impeachment. That's why they impeached him. And then as soon as they announced the impeachment, he's like, okay, I was just kidding. And then they sent the aid that day immediately.
Okay. What you're saying is, they sent the aid immediately. They didn't send the aid immediately.
Okay.
He signed for the aid to go. Well, but then there was a bunch more conversations with the Secretary of State and a bunch more conversations about, we're going to give you this aid, but we need you guys to hold strong against Russia. Then after Trump was out of office, they're Russia invaded almost immediately after Trump left office, right?
Okay.
Then we continued to sabotage peace talks. So Russia invaded and they said, all right, we'll leave. We just need y'all to stop letting the U.S. run y'all's foreign policy. That's what we need. Because we don't feel safe.
So a big part of this was Vladimir Zelensky, who's the president of Ukraine, was asking to join NATO. Yes. And so when basically his request was denied, request was denied at the United Nations by NATO, basically. And when it was denied, he announced publicly, joining NATO was just a dream. And I realize now that dream is not going to be fulfilled. They invaded 2 days after he publicly made that speech saying that we're not getting in NATO.
Okay.
But I guess your assumption is that he wouldn't have invaded if we wouldn't have been antagonizing?
I'm going back to the fact that they had a peace agreement years and years and years ago, and we tanked it.
Who?
Russia and Ukraine. Where basically Russia said, hey, listen, we came in, we took the Donbass, we are bad, but listen, we feel really unsafe because y'all keep going to the United States and you keep going to NATO, trying to join NATO.
Yeah, because you annexed Crimea in 2009.
I hear you. And I think the problem that I always have is we should take a, hey, Russia, you shouldn't do that stance. But the reason we can't be strong and actually get support from the international community is because we keep running up into places and annexing places and saying, hey, we're going to run this till we don't want to no more.
You're saying we can't get support, but we have support. All of the countries that signed on to the assistance and they're giving money and everything else to Ukraine.
How much money are they giving?
I don't have the exact dollar amount, but it's not just us. It's mainly us. I'm being honest. And I'm not, and I want to make sure I'm clear.
It's like 80-1.
I don't think that America is good on foreign policy. I think Biden, in my opinion, has actually been pretty good on foreign policy. That's just why I'm surprised. Because one, he got us out of a war. He's the first president in how many decades to do that?
Again, like you're
Two,
saying,
he has, as multiple wars and conflicts have happened under his presidency, he has not sent troops to basically physically fight in these battles. We're not he dropped airstrikes by, I think, by 91%.
Here's what my worry is, okay? I think that's too simple a formulation because sure, he's not sending troops, which is great. Sure, he's not starting new wars directly.
And ending wars.
Wait.
He ended a war.
Wait. You're saying he ended a war, which I don't even disagree that he ended the war in Afghanistan.
Correct. Okay.
My problem is what he's doing actually making us safer internationally?
That's a fair conversation. That's fair.
When you say, okay, he's ending wars and he's good on foreign policy, I just disagree. He's good at the specific things we can point to. He pulled us out of Afghanistan. That was good. It had some controversy.
Was a mess. But I think it would have been a mess regardless. I don't care who. I feel like it would have been a mess regardless.
I think it would have been a mess regardless too. But the problem is, it could have not been.
It could have been better.
It could have been a mess where we still saved all of the lives
and all the equipment we left.
But the reason we don't is the same reason everybody is absolutely squeamish about us actually doing any kind of tracking of all the weapons that we're sending over there. Mm-hmm. And, in my conspiracy brain, I think they want to be able to wage war wherever they want to. And they're arming all kinds of dissident groups so that they can start a new war every time they run out of steam on whatever existing war. That's why this whole thing with Israel is giving me the hives on my back, bro. Because it feels like the same feeling I got when we had 9/11 back in the day. Where, and I was super young, but it felt like everything, when I go back and I watch
things
the videos.
Are falling apart, yeah.
It's not even things are falling apart. It's like nobody who has the power to actually, promote peace is doing anything to promote peace. And I don't understand why. It doesn't, nothing about it is logical. Mm-hmm. And if anybody even attempted to try and explain our current foreign policy, I don't think you can do it. So much so that you got people in the government who have these jobs who are just quitting. They're just like, listen, these monks are not only doing a bad job, they're doing such a bad job, I can't work here.
Yeah, So maybe in a future show we can talk about what I think is going to be a ugly war in the Middle East between Israel, the U.S. and all these countries on Israel's side, and a lot of these Arab nations like Iran and Jordan, Qatar.
Here's all I can say, man. I hope some cooler heads prevail. I hope some people either
Israel vote out Benjamin Netanyahu, please. You got to get rid of that war-hungry monster.
But listen, we can't get
we can't say that much.
That's what I'm saying. We can't get a 80-year-old to actually get elected to presidency.
And if anyone on the Republican side happens, they just want war anyway.
I mean, I don't.
All of them.
That's actually not true.
Who on the Republican side is anti-war besides Matt Gaetz?
That's one.
Yeah, but he's a
Byron Donalds.
I don't know who that is. Is that the black guy?
Yes. He's one of 3. How do you not know who he is?
He's like a cuck. He goes out there and embarrasses himself and flails around on the ground for all the white Republicans.
First of all, listen, okay, even if you don't like the man, you gotta at least put some respect on his name.
No, I don't. You go, okay.
He's had
what's his name?
Byron Donalds.
Yeah. I just saw an interview with him when I was at the gym. Go on YouTube and type in Roland Martin interviews Byron Donalds.
Yeah.
And watch Roland Martin spank him with his hand.
I mean,
he hikes him over his knee.
Pause.
Because it's he basically was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the candidate for black people." So Roland Martin went down this list of all these all these things, and he said, "Hey, this is at whatever % popularity among the black community. Where do you stand on that?" Oh, I don't like that. I don't support that. Paid family leave.
Here's the thing: you can't
voting rights bill.
if you're gonna be a black Republican, you can't be like, oh, I'm the black Republican for black people. Like,
yeah,
you
like,
really can't,
bro, we already know
that.
who you are. You don't,
Right.
you are token, and that's if that's the lane you carving for yourself.
Carve that lane, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Thomas,
but then don't pretend like all the black people sent you.
Like, nah, we didn't send you.
We
there.
don't know you, bro.
Us. Right.
And he's a clown show. I watch him regularly. Actually, I don't even know his name, but I know who he is. He goes out there and he.
I mean, I agree with you.
Toes the company line.
I always got to be careful because I be like accidentally almost making these Republicans seem reasonable, and I don't be trying to. But there are anti-war Republicans. There is a wing of the Republican Party that is anti-war.
Well, let me ask you this: you say he's anti-war, so you're saying he's going to vote against the Republicans with the Democrats if we go into war?
Wait.
No, he's not.
I wouldn't say Bernard Donalds would. I would say Matt Gaetz.
Matt Gaetz might.
Yeah, him and Ron
he voted
Paul,
with Donald Trump like 95%.
Here, him and Rand Paul, who's not really a Republican, he's a libertarian, I believe.
He's a Republican.
Rand Paul is not a Republican.
He's barely a libertarian. He voted for the tax cuts for the rich. I don't want to hear none of that.
Because he's a libertarian.
No.
Wait. Hold on. This is a real important distinction because coalition building is important and you got to agree with
people. You can get with him on things like legalizing marijuana and...
you talking about Rand Paul
anti-war.
or Matt Gaetz?
Yes, Rand Paul. But outside of that, he's voting everything with the Republicans.
Yeah, but there are other things that you could get Rand Paul on board with. You could get on board with Rand Paul on.
If Nancy Pelosi will let it come to the floor, maybe you could have.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi's not the speaker no more.
I said, if Nancy Pelosi would have. I think that's what I said, actually.
Past tense.
But
I don't think that's what you said. It might have been. But
I think that's
we right here. Yeah. We right here. I think that's a good place to end it. This has been the Pensive Brothers podcast. I'm Elliot.
This is Aaron.
And we are out.